advantageous for us to give a 14-day as they are? I mean, I drove by there this afternoon and it looks like they're actively, I don't know if they've been piling everything in those old boats to haul it out of there or what, but there's definitely a noticeable change from what it was a month ago. And I know we've done that in the past. I think
meeting, we've given any, and it's up to you folks as to whether or not you think that something's going to happen in the next 14 days. But it certainly isn't going to hurt to give them some continuance.
I did notice that they seem to be moving it to 8th Avenue, 14th Street. There's like,
things cost money, I guess. Well, there is a motion and a second to abate. Is there any other discussion? The property at 305 Fifth Avenue North. Hearing none. Council?
looks like it was cleaned up.
Yep. Pick. I guess I don't remember. It's been so long since we've not abated something. What's the
The other issue is that we just say that it's been cleaned up and that we are now dismissing the nuisance complaint.
dismissing? That's right.
I'll make the motion to dismiss it.
We have a motion second to dismiss the nuisance complaint at 305 Fifth Avenue North. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Again, photographs and yep, 62 6. There's a new updated photograph there. Is there anybody here from 6206 Depot Location Road? Can I have you come to the podium, please? Can I have you come to the podium, please, if you're... Looking for the original picture here. Yeah, I can definitely see from the photographs that there's been some definite improvement. And
Yeah, that property belongs to my mother. It was in my father's name. The only thing that belongs to her on that property, that garage that you see to the right of the power line, power pole. Everything else that's on that property belongs to the person that first item that you discussed. And my mother and I and my sister, we've been down there cutting all the grass, and the neighbor has been moving some stuff out. The first trailer that was there has been moved out. He said they went to the dump and got rid of that. some of the other stuff that they're trying to move out. He says he can work for about an hour and then he has to take a break because he's got some medical issues. But he's been, I went down there this morning and there was a lot more stuff moved. But there's a lot of junk, and he agrees that he has to get it out. And I tried contacting the fellow that advertises in the Times to pick up junk, and he just called me this morning. We went down and looked at it. As far as those fiberglass boats go, he said they'll charge at the landfill, they'll charge $200 a piece for those. So he won't pick them up unless, somebody pays for it. So we're hoping that the neighbor will load them on his trailer that is also down there and pull them out himself. But he's been moving a lot of stuff, and he said he needs more time. And I hope that, hope you give him some more time, but I hope that you keep on him about it.
I see there's, like I said, from my opinion, there's been a large amount of progress, and I definitely appreciate you coming here. I don't know what the council's wishes are, but I know I would be in favor of a continuance until the next meeting, September 8th.
I'd support that.
I will make that into a motion then. Is there any discussion?
How many days, Mr. Mayor?
Until September 8th, whatever the next council meeting.
Okay. Appreciate it.
No. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 4 has been removed from the agenda due to error in the letter delivery. Perfect, so
So will it be on next month's agenda?
next month's agenda will be on, so. And then our final, number 5, the property at 201 Main Street. Is there anybody here from 201 Main Street? Seeing there is not. As you can see, there are photos from the initial complaint and photographs from today. Council, anybody have any?
I'll make a motion to move towards abatement so we can discuss.
It has been moved and supported to abate the property at 201 Main Street. Is there any discussion?
So they did mow the lawn, but the bricks and the building materials are still there. And they, all the shrubs, these are all weeds against the building. So they started, I don't know what their intention is, whether they will finish or not.
I know I can't differentiate a tree or a bush from a weed in a photograph, but I do see that it's been, things have been mowed.
Well, anything growing right against your building like that doesn't belong there. I mean, they should know what's a weed and what's not.
Mr. Mayor, the Councilor Walters also said this building materials And as part of the abatement that was required, is to remove all unused building materials from the public view. And that it doesn't appear to have been done.
Right.
If I remember, and I don't know how long ago that ago, we had, that was taken care of, building material.
Last year, this property came in front of the council. I mean, I would make a motion to give them an extension, but I would like it done by next month, I guess.
So you're changing your original motion to a continuance?
Yes, a continuance.
Kathy, would you support that? It's been moved and seconded to continue this until the September 8th council meeting. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, so does somebody notify them that they have a continuance and what needs to be done?
Between the chief and I, we will make sure that that's conveyed, as well as with the one that was dismissed.
Thank you.
Mayor, there was some discussion about why the front of their building, with all that building material and so forth, had not been touched. Apparently, he was waiting for some, a meeting with MnDOT. From what I understand, there was a meeting when Jeff was here, MnDOT, and the work of, and I think you were part of that meeting.
He came to a council meeting over this already.
So what?
The idea is not that, dirt is not considered building material, and just because we don't like the way dirt looks.
What is the plan? Because there was a meeting with MnDOT, so what is the plan going forward?
MnDOT has said that they are done with whatever they're doing there, so.
Pardon?
MnDOT has said that they are done with what they are doing there. There is no more. It's up to him. So,
So
all right, there has been a motion and a second to give them a continuance at 201 Main Street until the September 8th council meeting. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I think we've already acted on it. I don't believe we can go back. Because we've already acted on it. It's passed. I mean, it's been acted upon and. Huh? Just move, we moved to abate.
Why can you, have a cop go around and tell people, oh, clear, take care of your yard because you might get, you're gonna get, light noise. Like, two friends of mine told at the top of the stage, after the back door, there's a piece of paper in the mail.
There was a piece of paper in the mail. The notices were mailed out, as far as I know, to property on record. There you go.
But I had a cop come around and tell me that you get this cleaned up before you get it to your, or considered, violation.
The notice in the mail is the notice of violation.
I just said, I got two people, that is a cop, go by the place in case before.
That's a courtesy, I would assume. No.
They can take it too, so they want to.
The blight process in the city, or the nuisance process, is that if somebody reports blight, the police don't go out looking for blight. We don't have a blight officer. If somebody reports the blight, then it's how it becomes. It does, it's anonymous in the system. It's just an online complaint for the property. Then law enforcement goes out and declares observes a nuisance, brings it back to the council, and that's how the process works. I haven't seen anything from anybody across the street for, well, I mean, but I've been here for 3 years and I haven't seen it, so. But it's well within your right to make a complaint. Okay. So that it, I mean, if it's gone before our, anybody comes to do any cleanup, and it's already taken care of, then there will be, then it's considered done. No, that's how it works, so. Correct me if I'm wrong, Larry. Yeah, I mean, if you're hauling scrap metal tomorrow and, well, yep. Well, so, as long as those things are licensed and operational, they're, so. Okay, I will close the nuisance hearing and reopen the regular council meeting at 18:20. Moving on, number 8, presentations. Mr. Hayden had requested a presentation. He did call me today, and he let me know what was going on, and I told him I would convey the information. He has given up on his sandbar project due to he had a verbal agreement from somebody at the Army Corps, and then they came back and took that back. So he said he's too much bureaucracy, too much red tape, and he is no longer going to pursue that. So that was the registered presentation. We will move on to item 9, mayor and council member reports. Councilor Berg.
Couple of things here. The council agenda showed up on my doorstep on time for the first time in about a year. Thank you. It was very nice to spend extra time reviewing it, but it was 3:30 on a Thursday. Thank you. The only other thing I have, if I was going to be a city administrator candidate, if I was coming into this community and I'm looking at the community, I don't know much about it, and I look at our police report for a town of 800 people, and our police chief and his crew have been in here almost 200 times on calls in 1 month, I wouldn't put in my application. I think that's a disgrace to this community that we have this many calls. To me, it's embarrassing. And I thank God we have who we have running our police force, because thank you. But to me, it's embarrassing. That's all I have.
Councilor Lehman.
I just want to thank all the volunteers for doing all the flower beds. They look really good around town. You can keep up the good work. Thanks for Mr. Wycombe for doing a good job. The weekly updates, it's been very informative. Most information I've gotten so far since I've been on council. So it's been kind of a nice change. And then this is for probably the new administrator and Shannon possibly, but have you done anything with the Minnesota Cemetery Conference at all? Or heard of that by chance? But being now that the city is running the cemetery, there's a yearly conference that goes on that has to do with all law-related stuff, and that it's next month in St. Cloud, but it's just something that to look into and maybe go to a conference, because it would probably be a really good, informative meeting. That's all I got.
I'll add to that, because when I was at the League of Minnesota Cities Conference, a couple of different township clerks and administrators said, you guys need to start going to that. It's the most informational thing for cemeteries that you'll see. So thanks for bringing that up. Councilor Nemi.
Yes, first I want to thank the volunteers and student workers for the work on Main Street. It looks so nice, you drive through it. It just looks nice every time you keep going down, more improvement. I was down there yesterday, or today, excuse me, I've been down there a couple times. And I thank the various kinds of people who work in it, really nice. And I really appreciate it. So thank you to all that have given their time to that project. The other thing is, okay, thank you. Want to thank Jim, Sherry, and Shannon too, because they've really worked hard taking Steve's place, been in there maybe a hair more, but they've been very prompt and taking care of stuff and answering questions, and I personally appreciate that, so thank you.
Okay, then for the budget committee, I got the memo from Danny, which I greatly appreciated. So we had a campground meeting and a cemetery meeting, and we did talk about the budget, so you'll be getting that, of what we're looking at doing, and making sure that we're within our budget for the year of 2026. The other thing is, while I was down there, Shannon can help me, I can't remember her name, but she was working on the books, the city books, and I asked her about setting funds aside, and she called it committed funds. And she didn't think there was a problem to have committed funds set aside. So like, we were looking at wanting a pier, so this is just an example, we haven't set them out yet, but set $10,000 a year, and you do that every year. She didn't think there was anything wrong, but she was going to check with and I don't remember his name either, I think it was John, was going to check with him to make sure there's nothing that we can't do that with. We have to have resolution to put it in and take it out. But I think that's something to look at. It's called committed funds. I like the idea of the cemetery conference. So with that, I think, oh, yes, I had it right in front of me. We got a letter. This is called HIP Camp, HIPCAMP. Tracy got it in the mail and handed it to me. It's just a quick letter. They are #1 online directory for campgrounds, RV parks, and they call it clamping sites in the U.S. with over 200 million visits a year. They put our campsite on that website, and it doesn't cost us anything.
Oh.
So I thought that was really nice. So.
I have that app.
Oh, do you? Okay. So I wanted to bring that up too. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Nemi. Counselor Bullard.
Okay, well, I also want to thank the volunteers who have been helping with the weeding and planted areas on Main Street. So we've had logged like 570 volunteer hours since June. So when they ask for in-kind when you're applying for grants, that might help, I don't know. And then I want to thank the summer workers for applying mulch. I think this is probably the most labor they have had to do. Young people don't have a lot of experience with that, it seems like. And then I wanted to thank Mary, Larry, and Christopher Enquist for, along with Public Works, for revamping the Welcome to Biwabik sign. I don't know if anybody has been down there. They completed it this weekend. It looks wonderful. And then the Biwabik Area Civic Association, thank you for providing us with music in the park. One more, only one more left, one more performance scheduled.
That's next week, right? Not this week?
Not, yeah, the following week, yep. And then there were lots of bicycles in town today. I don't know if anybody knows what that was about. There had to be like 30 bikes at the park today. I think they were riding out towards Giants Ridge, I'm not positive. So that was good to see. And they gave us a lot of compliments on the plantings and stuff like that. And then the last thing is I gave the council some information because as you know, I'm the liaison for the planning and zoning. And at our meeting on Thursday, they discussed rezoning the school properties to residential 1 and residential 2 before it goes up for auction, which could probably be this fall. So I would like to make a motion that we take the, what do you say, direction from the planning and zoning so that we can discuss how we would like to handle this, if we want to do the rezoning. The commissioners would like, they need direction from the council. So if we would like to proceed with the rezoning or at least discuss if we want to have the planning and zoning work on this or not. So I would like to make a motion.
I don't think we can't.
But we can as long as somebody seconds it.
I don't believe so.
I don't think we can, because we can put it on for discussion at the next meeting.
See, when I talked with the league, they said if I made a motion anytime during the meeting, as long as somebody seconded it, it could be up for discussion.
Yeah, I don't believe that's, we've always, I mean, we could make a recommendation to the planning commission via general consent, but we
Okay.
can't, there's, you know, you can't make a motion or do an action on something that doesn't call for it under new business. So,
When I talked to the league, they had said that I could do that. Okay, so, I guess planning and zoning wants direction on this, whether or not the council would like them to work on rezoning this property before it goes up for auction or not.
Maybe just discuss it tonight and then vote it.
what is it zoned right now?
I think it's school. If that is a zoning,
Still zoned as school.
Okay. So, since I was the pro temp at this last meeting that brought this up, Pete does that, he was not there. The, whatever your discussion is about planning and zoning, okay, you probably would need to have to call a special meeting for planning and zoning to get this, because September is coming, and we don't know when the auction is good, so that has to be done in time so that the county can actually put this in their description. So if we wait until 30 days and so forth, we're gonna publish this as it is, and it's not gonna, it may reflect the brownfield, but it's not gonna reflect any possible rezoning. So I would suggest that whatever your discussion is, if you want us to move forward, we will have to call a special meeting. And in turn, it would likely have to be a special meeting called by the mayor on this particular item right here, so we can get this done before September. That's my
I don't believe there's any sort of time frame that would match that, because we've got to do we would have to have a public hearing, and then isn't there a 30-day, am I wrong on that? Is there a 30-day for rezoning? Yeah, so, I mean, even if we were to try to meet all those deadlines, I don't think, September's just not, I mean, that's not a feasible time frame. I mean, November would be, but, you know,
You can accelerate the public hearings by having a series of special meetings. Correct me if I'm wrong, Larry.
Well, you could have a special meeting,
You can accelerate the public hearings.
you can notice the public hearing, still have the first day notice.
You've got to act on it, because if it comes up in September, we're going to be cut short.
I guess, I mean, I don't understand if somebody buys it and wants to put housing there, we would just rezone it at that point in time.
They don't know when they buy it what the zoning will be. If the city chooses, because the city will likely be one of, hopefully, one of the participants, maybe not. I understand that there is somebody that's interested in it. So the description needs to be in front of whoever is going to buy it. Whether it ends up in the long run to be R1 or R2, it can be changed.
Again, like I said, I'm not opposed to a rezoning of it to make it residential, because I mean, obviously, if somebody buys it, we're not gonna improve it as industrial and put a factory in the middle of a neighborhood. At least I wouldn't hope so.
No, but sometimes a buyer on an auction like that would like to know that it's open
Yep.
for them to change. If we were to make it all of a sudden R1 or R2, maybe somebody else doesn't want to buy it and they don't want it R1 or R2. I mean, you can't get stuff at a park.
Right.
but
Yeah, that's,
right now, if it's zoned school, will that, I mean, that's kind of the same as if it was R1 or R2, you know?
It is. So
Yeah.
that whatever the new buyer wants, then they're gonna have to come in and make a change, or the request I make.
Okay, and one of the reasons, this was brought up at the housing meeting last month at the East Range Joint Powers Board. They have the housing meeting after. And the people from Hoyt Lakes had said they rezoned the school lot where the old school is there. And they asked me about what the zoning was on ours, and I said, well, I think it's still zoned school. And they had recommended that we zone it R1 and R2. Yes, before it's purchased, because, well,
Yeah.
that's what they did over in Hoyt Lake, so, I mean, and I'm the liaison for planning and zoning, they asked me to bring it up, so I brought it up.
It certainly makes sense to zone it, as an R2, because that's a little more encompassing. It makes sense to do that. I'm not disputing that fact. I don't want to rush a process and not cross all of our, Ts and dot all of our Is on it, so. I mean, we've been sitting on these things for over a decade, so and now here it's this mad scramble at the end. But,
If I may, I just wanted to echo what Mr. Setzer said, just so you're warned. I was told by Nicholas County that September is the latest launch. That has been confirmed. Mr. Setzer gave me that information, and I followed up with the county. At some point, product, that doesn't mean that
right.
it's sold.
Well, and even at that point, if it doesn't get sold, it goes to an over-the-counter sale price, which, we obviously don't want commercial or industrial or anything up in the middle of town. So, I mean, it does make sense to do that. I guess if the council doesn't object, if by general consent, if we can direct the planning commission to continue that process to, I like the idea of R2, just because it does open up that, door to anything. And the rest of the town is R2. That's why it fits the rest of the map. So.
Mayor, I've asked this before, so a number of months ago, for the council to give some discussion about what their intent is for that property, whether they're interested in buying it, so that they can determine what goes on the property or not. And so now we're really coming to the 11th hour for the council to weigh the decision as to whether to buy it or not, and what are the reasons for, what are the reasons against. Was really plotting strategy, which has not happened. So, soon, September's next month.
To the current discussion at hand on the zoning and planning and directing planning commission, if anybody has an objection to having the planning commission start the process, we'll save it until the next meeting. But if by general consent, we can direct the planning commission to begin that process.
I have no problem with the planning
I don't
commission,
either.
directing them to do it.
Any opposition on Councilor Berg, any opposition? Well, by general consent, we will direct the planning commission to begin the rezoning process to residential.
And you could call a special meeting to start this if you need to. So do we need to set a public hearing date for it?
We
or
don't
not?
it's got to go through planning first.
First, okay.
Yep, so.
All right, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Okay, my report, I also want to kind of mirror what everybody else said. It's been fantastic having Interim Administrator Wycombe in that office. Communication has been fantastic, and Sherry and Shannon have been, spot on through this transition process. So it's very much appreciated. And like I said, to mirror what Councilor Berg said, the amount of communication and on-time agenda packets has been, it's been great. So it's much appreciated. Main Street also does look fantastic, and I got to thank all the volunteers that helped with that. So there is one, I'm going to put a work order in for Public Works. Mr. Plesha pointed out to me before the meeting that there's a tree between Lucky 7 and the Brown Jug that's the nicest tree we've got on Main Street, and it's starting to lean. So, and then touching on that, the welcome sign is in mighty poor condition, which I can tell you that because when I hang the wreath up there for Wynock Fest, it's pretty sketchy, and I do it in the off time when there's nobody around to watch me do it. So, but we're probably going to have to look at something. I know Aiken got 4 new welcome signs a couple years ago using an IRRR match, so something to maybe look at is, and I did talk to Public Works, I said we could even maybe build something inside in the wintertime and move, have it ready to set, kind of to mirror what we've got, versus putting a big stone, fancy, expensive thing there. I mean, just to keep that wood. So there might be some more coming up on that, but that sign is in pretty tough shape. And it would be nice to have a matching sign on the other end of town. I know that's been brought to my attention more than once. And to kind of talk about Kathy's, the funds, the fund balances, I know next door, a couple of years ago, Ehlers is a financial investment company for municipalities, and they're kind of the best of the best. But the city of Aurora spent $16,000 on a financial plan with Ehlers, and now granted, they have obviously a lot more reserves than we do, but in 18 months, their return on investment was $255,000 through Ehlers. So that small little investment turned into a, I think I do think they pay it's like an $8,000 annual fee. But when you're making that kind of return, it's kind of hard to, it's kind of hard to not justify that. So maybe something to look into as we look into dedicated funds that, Ehlers can come in and even offer a financial plan to get you started. I do have the contact information somewhere. I grabbed it from the league, the conference we had. The grind at Giants Ridge is this weekend, so that's probably why there's a lot of mountain bikes in town, probably people getting ready for that. There's live music up there Friday night, racing and events all day Saturday. If you really want to dunk me in the dunk tank, I'll be sitting there at 11:30 so through our kids' mountain bike team, they needed volunteers, so there I am. There's under new business under 11A with the sulfate standard for Keetac mine. We've got a lot of upcoming. We've got a special meeting for the Rams board on Thursday to discuss the same thing. There's community information meeting on the 19th at Discovery Center. We've got the MPCA public meeting at the ITMEC in Virginia is at 6 p.m. on September 3rd, and then that's followed by State of the Range by the IRRR, also at the ITMEC from 4 to 8 on September 17th. I would encourage everybody to register and attend that. And then there is a couple of more Brownfield Lunch and Learns coming up, one this Wednesday and one on September 30th. So if you haven't been to one of those yet, might be worthwhile to attend. That is all I have. So we will move on to item 10, old business. There's none, so we will move to new business. Item A, resolution 2025-18 concerning sulfate standard at Keetac Mine. We worked with the Rams board, had put out a similar resolution that we're going to be approving on Thursday. This is an incredibly important item, as Keetac is the cleanest running mine that U.S. Steel has, and they're also one of the smallest. The sulfate discharge is 78 or 80 parts per million, because drinking water is 250 parts per million. When you buy a bottle of Smart Water at the gas station or grocery store, it is 78 parts per million. So if you go dump your bottle of Smart Water out of your boat in Hay Lake, you're polluting. They're going to be giving, sounds like they're giving the city of Hibbing a multi-user discharge variance for that, but they won't do it for the mine. So this is going to become a big issue, especially seeing that every one of our municipal wastewater plants do not fit this category, and the amount of the cost involved just for Keetac to continue running until to get everything implemented by 2030 is around $800 million. And I can tell you what, Biwabik can't afford a tab like that with reverse osmosis for a water plant either. So with that, I will make the motion to approve resolution 2025-18. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I feel at this time that I personally don't have enough information to support this resolution. I would like to table this until our next meeting after I go to the informational session on September 3rd, because then I'll get the information from all the parties involved. Right now, I feel I don't have enough information to support this resolution.
So there is the comment period ends before our next meeting. So that's why this is on this agenda right now. And I don't know if we can we move to a table? If we have a motion and a second on the floor, right. We,
We've been arguing about that for 20 years. Yeah.
okay.
When is the end of the?
The comment period ends, I believe, September 6th. I think our meeting is September 8th. So it's either the 5th or the 6th. And like I said, absolutely, we're under
Rams-
discussion.
At least I got it. Rams put out an article about this, and I read that. And then my husband's going to the meeting this Thursday to listen to what they have to say. But this is, I'm not an expert on it, and I acknowledge it, but this is very expensive for them to do, for us to do, and we can't do it, and we have a good system. I don't know why you'd want to change it, to be honest with you.
I guess what I see for, like, I only see one side. I only see like the side that I've read from Rams. And I know there's going to be, I think, well, I'll be at Thursday's meeting also. And there's going to be like three people or three sides or, you know, however you want to call it. So I guess I feel I just need more information.
Okay, well, is there a second for the tabling? Is there a second for the tabling? Is there a second for the tabling? Motion to table fails. Back to discussion on the original motion for the approving the resolution. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none. Shannon, can we have a roll call vote, please?
I,
No?
Aye. Motion carries. Resolution is approved and adopted. Item B, Resolution 2519, extend prohibition on overnight parking to campground parking lot.
I'll make a motion that we pass this resolution. Or,
It's been moved by Councilor Wallert, seconded by Councilor Nemi to approve Resolution 2025-19. Is there any discussion?
Yes, if it comes to me. When I got this, and I did talk to Tracy about it, it looks like, to me, we're stopping a pickup from parking at the camp, or not the campground, the beach, because the animals that are using the pickup have been unlawfully camping on Bradley Island all summer. And instead of stopping the campers that's been there illegally, because a year or two ago, we passed a resolution, there is no camping on Bradley Island. But now we're gonna stop a pickup from parking down there. And I think we're going about it the wrong way. That's just my opinion.
can I answer?
Yep.
And I hear your point, but I don't think it's just that one pickup, it's to stop, because we've had a problem at the beach, and I acknowledge it, and I'm not arguing it, but one of the problems has been the parking overnight. Whether the comments are true or not, I don't know. When I've gone down there, I haven't seen an issue, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So it was better to take it and nip it in the butt and take care of it, that you cannot park overnight. And if you do, you would be talking to Tracy.
I was going to say, and then it would stop people from camping in the parking lot also. I don't know if would this include where you exit the beach? There's that little parking lot there? Because I've seen people camp there also overnight.
It does, the city-owned Vermillion Trail Campground, that's all part of the same parcel.
Okay, so would this resolution would cover that parking lot also?
And like we ordered signs, Shannon can correct me, but we ordered, and Jim can correct me, but we've ordered signs for no parking overnight parking and stuff, to get them up so that people understand it.
And like I said, the couple times I went down there to see after I got calls, I saw there was you got a couple of prime parking spots right by the boat landing, and you had people parked there, then they had their trailer disconnected with a jet ski parked in the next spot, taking up 2 places for 2 days at a crack, or better. So I'm definitely in favor of this resolution. And it does say that unauthorized. I mean, if somebody needs to park overnight that's got something going on, and you just go to the campground office and get hey, what do I got to do? Or you talk to the chief of police. I mean, there is a way to, but it does just prohibit it overall. And if there's an exception to the rule, it's at the officer's discretion.
How is it going to be enforced?
Just like every other parking is enforced.
My previous experience, to answer your question, is Tracy and I called the police to come down. That's how we handled it. And they were very right there. And if I remember, gave them a ticket, or it was a warning, give them a ticket. If they kept it there, and they were out.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on the resolution 2025-19? Hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Shannon?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution passes. Moving on, item 11D, accept resignation from Public Works and declare vacancy. Oh, did I miss ski? I'm sorry, I apologize. That was the one that was sitting on the desk here. I had it out of order. I apologize. Item C, Resolution 2025-20, authorize a grant application to the IRRR Public Works Grant Program. And as you'll note, as I just mentioned, there was an updated copy. The wrong type of grant was mentioned in the first one, so the Public Works Grant is the proper.
So moved. Support.
It has been moved and seconded to approve 2025-20, authorizing grant application. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Shannon, roll.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, item 11D, accept resignation from Public Works Department and authorize posting the vacancy.
Support.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Personnel Committee met this morning. I'll just jump right into discussion here. The Personnel Committee is recommending that we delay posting the vacancy as we are in the process of updating some of our job descriptions, and potentially with the upcoming contract negotiations, possibly changing some of our job descriptions to match some other communities and maybe fit our needs better as a community from Public Works. So while we are definitely, the Personnel Committee is definitely in favor of the need for a posting the vacancy from Mr. Mackey, that however, we think it'd be advantageous to hold off for a time being, just to get those job descriptions updated and as we look into contract negotiations.
So how long are you looking at delaying?
Well, it depends on if we can get into contract negotiations a little sooner. I know that's later on the agenda to authorize.
Okay, I guess the thing is that I'm concerned about is they're working the 4 10s. So that's going to leave somebody with just one person on staff one of the days. Because now Lauren and Paul are off on Mondays, and Kaden and Benji are off on Fridays. So then that will just leave Benji there on Mondays.
On Fridays. Benji will be there on Friday.
I'm sorry.
But
Yeah,
Caden's
Fridays,
done
so.
before we would ever get the posting up and hired anyway, so, and they'll be back to 5/8 as a Labor Day, so that won't affect
And then,
either way.
and the summer workers aren't there on Friday either, so is there any problem with just one person working by themselves,
There's gonna, yeah, there
as far as safety goes?
won't be an issue. And it does sound like they're gonna try to fill the gap with a summer worker a bit on Fridays which I thought was the plan to begin with anyway, but I guess that's that didn't happen, and I don't know why, so. But yeah, that's the Personnel Committee's recommendation from our meeting this morning about it, so. We just had a meeting this morning, we didn't have a chance to get together before that, so I think it's, I know, Town of White, I believe, in their job descriptions has a general maintenance worker as one of the hourly positions. I know Aurora's got, I'm just comparing other 49er contracts. Aurora's got a public works specialist, which includes more of the day-to-day facility maintenance versus just being an equipment operator, and trying to kind of clean up some of our job descriptions. So, I think we could definitely approve the resignation and accept posting the vacancy as the motion says, but I think we should hold off on the actual posting from a timeline perspective. If anybody else has anything.
Yes, I would like to thank Caden. I think he did a wonderful job for the city, and personally, I'm going to miss him. I think he was a hard worker.
And I was going to, say the same thing basically as what Danny said. I know that he worked with Benji on the campground, and there was always compliments about his work.
And
So I thank him.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, and I guess one thing that I really liked too, he was a hard worker, and he started out as a summer worker, and then he was hired by the city. So that shows that he, had the work ethic that we were looking for.
Yeah, he was a absolutely fantastic employee, and he's definitely going to be missed.
I just want to say, thanks for for working for this town of Biwabik and everything, but I think that we should go ahead and post the vacancy, because we're getting into fall, it's going to be snowplow season, and with 4 guys with full staff, it's hard enough. So now you're going to be down to 3, and I think we should just go ahead and post it and get somebody hired.
I guess, and that's might be a question for Larry as we get into contract. If we do hire somebody under the current setup, and then we go into contract negotiations, and we try to change some of these job descriptions a bit, how is that gonna?
Part of the union negotiation.
Okay.
Part of the union agreed with it.
So that wouldn't delay this hiring process at this point then?
I don't think so.
Okay. That was my only concern, that's why we discussed this morning, so.
I don't believe so. I mean, I guess if you're changing job descriptions, the union would have to go ahead and change the contract, and, so that's all part of the contract negotiation talk.
Yeah.
So,
But if we try to do that first, that might delay it.
Yeah.
But this, I'm going for the,
Okay. So, okay, well, there is a motion and second to accept the vacancy and post the job. Is there any more discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11E, award bid for work on Voyagers Trail. City received 2 proposals to brush and re-shoulder Voyagers Trail, and if anybody's been up there, I'll be happy to show you pictures if you haven't. This road should have been shouldered 15 years ago, and probably again 10 years ago. It's, the edges are crumbling, so. And you've got 2 proposals in front of you.
Make a motion to accept the second one from Rock, or the first one, I guess, Rock, Snow, and Fire.
I'll support.
For discussion, I'm wondering, is there money in the budget for this?
So this came up with, and of course, this is another one of these things that was lost in transition with the administrator. The homeowners association at Voyagers, and Mr. Schring can attest to this, that they were told by the previous administrator that there was $20,000 in the budget for crack sealing, and it was intended for Voyagers. And I said, I didn't know anything about that, but seeing as we didn't do crack sealing this year, that the council with this motion could then reallocate those funds and that's where that was the budget discussion. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim.
That's exactly what I had heard as well.
So then my only other questions were on this is, I know how Steve put on here from bottom of ditch to shoulder of the road. I think we should go with more of just of a, like, so many feet off the center line, is my thought. Because, I mean, we get too far off, then you're into right of way, off the right of way, and then you're into personal property. That's my only concern.
Our plan was to lower the bottom of the ditch, which is still in the right of way. And I wanted to go start and actually very close to the road and going beyond the ditch area would take a lot of big lines off, trying to keep it from being able to take that. It's like a really bad haircut right now. Our plan is to go to the toe or the bottom of the ditch, which is still within the right of way. Why I think kind of give it I think the last time, the Conway company, 10 years ago, Russian
I will say too, the right of way on the Voyagers Trail is 80 feet.
Oh, 80 feet?
It's 80 feet. It's, we've been working through that on a few other items. It's kind of hard to miss the right of way on that one.
And this is the whole road all the way to the end? Okay.
So
So, this is just a quote, so would we prefer doing brushing? Or would we want to also, because I don't know, I mean, the quote is for $8,400 and that's just for the brushing. So, do you think that that would be suffice to do the whole 5 miles?
We do very similar with lots of township and there's and the other thing that's gonna happen on that too is last year we had $100 going towards the long road on the side. That would be built into this $8,400. We would experience that again. We could actually save $8,400
Oh, so,
So there's some areas that are all rock that you're not doing.
Correct.
Guardrails, so, this is not every single one.
so you're not going to do behind the guardrail at all? Oh.
So we're gonna have a machine with that mounted so that we can hold it without damaging the ditch.
Yeah, it's a nugget farm.
So,
This does include the gravel too, this bit.
Gravel is separate ditch.
That isn't, I don't think we got that included.
It's on the same one.
It just says installed.
install class 5.
Oh, okay, install, that's what I meant, that this includes the installation and the gravel.
All of the separate bid, yes. There's a bid for, crushing and there's a bid for shouldering.
Right.
Yeah.
And the
So materials
shoulder,
are included.
okay,
Oh,
that's what I meant.
all right, there has been a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11F, schedule council work session for review of audits. Tom Kelly, Walker, Drew and Honey, conducts the annual financial audit, requests an opportunity to meet with the council to review some aspects of the 2024 audit. I don't know what everybody else's feelings are, but something like this could very easily be tacked on to a, 5:15. And if we run into the agenda meeting, I think I think we all like having less meetings. So, and I believe, Mr. Kelly's pretty wide open on that. Jim was the one that communicated with him, so.
Actually, I think he communicated with Shannon about this, but,
Oh. Do we want to set it for the October meeting just in general? I think that's when we generally accept the audit anyway, isn't it? Is it usually October or November? Yeah, so, let me look at my calendar.
We have to change the October meeting because it's on Columbus Day.
Yeah, we already changed
What?
it.
Oh, to the 14th?
It's the Tuesday,
Oh, I don't-
we changed it at the reorganizational meeting. So it would be the 14th. So if everybody's, I'll make a motion, we set the council work session for the review at 5:15 on October 14th.
Support.
All right, motion and second to schedule or to set the meeting on October 14th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 11G, discussion on maintenance plan for Voyageurs Trail. As the background says here, there's some definite needs up on Voyageurs Trail that have been lost in the cracks since the town of White no longer takes care of that road. And I know the citizens and the HOA from Voyageurs have reached out to me asking about a long-term plan. I know you guys have an annual meeting coming up. So, but actually, Steve, if I get you to go to the podium and be on record if you want to.
So I'm also the vice president of the homeowners association. Two things we're looking at is we're probably 3 years out from needing some pretty good blacktop work out there, and we're trying to, with the previous administrator, about a year ago, we approached him about, let's start sourcing funding so that when it does come in dire needs, we're not assessing everybody, because we also got tied into the town's assessment. So if we ended up getting assessment, I believe the town people would get tied into our assessment as a fair statement. So we're trying to be proactive to, find a funding source so that doesn't cost us money. And I'm bringing it forward now so that 2 to 3 years from now, when we really need to do it, maybe have an option of money that wouldn't cost us money. What do you think of that? Good idea. Yeah, oh yeah, you will. You'll be here bugging everybody still. So that is one thing we're working on, and that's why that crack sealing, that $20,000, however it was earmarked, it goes about a block out there because the cracks are so wide, it's a waste of money. It doesn't do its effectiveness, so that's why we looked at other options to improve out there. At one time, we took care of the whole road, but we were told from a previous counselor not to touch the road or the bike trail anymore, so we haven't. The second item is there's a washout on a sharp corner that goes down to the pump house that pumps all the sewage to the water plant, and every event we get with rain, it washes out that whole side. Sooner or later, it's going to take out the pump system too, because it fills out the pump house. So our plan is, our suggestion is to put some curb up in that area so that it will collect the water, bypass that pump house, and drain into, there's a creek/river there that we could drain into, and it would save a bunch of headaches for the public works too, because every time that happens, the whole road is covered with gravel. So those are the two long terms that, let's work on. And the curb, that's a lesser dollar one, that's probably a $25,000 to $30,000 job. The blacktop, only $500,000. And that's why if we could find some funding, when we got time to plan, that's our goal, rather than saying, what are we gonna do? So that's kind of what we're hoping for. And maybe there's none, but if we don't try.
No, absolutely. The administrator did suggest the council might want to consider appointing a group to develop some idea for the council to review and consideration. I guess if, you know, if nobody's opposed to that, we could get, I don't know if, you know, Councilor Lehman is more versed on public works than I am. If that'd be something we could maybe work with the HOA, city staff, and, you know, one of our councilors, if nobody, you know.
I'm just saying, you know, now we have a little bit of a window to try to secure some funds, and let's try it. You know, that's the big thing, because it is expensive.
So,
Those are the two items that, you know, I see as, the rest of it, we can take care of ourselves, so.
does anybody have any thoughts, discussion, anything?
We need to get the ball rolling, I guess
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
If I may, I know SEH did complete like a capital improvement plan for Voyagers Trail, doing kind of a reclaim mill and overlay with actually some curb and gutter. That was done a year or two ago, so I can
Oh.
find that and pass it along, and we can certainly help in finding funding. It's typically a little bit harder for pavement work only, typically funding sources like the underground utilities, but we can certainly discuss options. And then at least we have a cost estimate for what we're looking for.
And knock on wood, we hope that underground utility system works. You know, we had a couple of collapses this spring, when unfortunately, when all that place was built, there was a lot of oversight on watching it build, and there were some poor work practices in it, and now we're kind of suffering because of that. So, I mean, knock on wood that our sewer does live for another 20 years, but we have experienced some breaks already. Because it's a pressure system too, so it's, you know,
oh, that's right, it is
when
pressurized.
leaks, it's like a geyser, you know,
Yeah.
stinky geyser.
No.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking at, and, the main road, especially the first half, it is where most of the repairs have been made, and it's a little softer underneath, so that seems to be the most reflective cracking on the paving and the roughest area. And then, you know, it'd be nice if we could tie in some center line striping or something.
I thought you guys didn't want that up there.
Oh, there was only one guy that didn't like that, and he,
Sorry, I couldn't resist that one.
yeah, and fortunately for me, he was my neighbor. So, yeah, so everybody's in favor of what we're doing, and we're just trying to be proactive to like, let's research and see if we can find some funding, so that's always the hard work. You know, doing the work, so it's the easy part, but
Sure. No.
thank
Well,
you.
excellent. I think if, like I said, if the council's, through a general consent again, if we can do a, you know, a working committee with, you know, Councilor Lehman and, administrator and HOA along with, SEH. So, we can, Matt's on vacation, we can volunteer him for all kind of things, right?
Yeah, yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
All the time.
so,
I think it's a good idea.
I think so. I think we definitely need to plan ahead for that, so.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Steve. Okay, moving on, item 11H, approved establishment of dedicated fund for donations. As the background sheet says, I was contacted by the Caring for Kids community, the nonprofit that operates out of Aurora. They're the ones that built the splash pad in Aurora. They are now operating 2 sites for gambling within the city of Biwabik. The problem is you get into a big project like that, such as a $350,000 splash pad, a nonprofit cannot hang on to that money for, you know, at the year-end carryover, they get taxed on it. The idea would be that if we were able to set up an established fund where we could accept those donations and kind of bank it for a project, whether it's going to be for the West Annex, whether it's for ball field upgrades, whatever it happens to be that fits the criteria of their donations. Now, state law does say that once a charity donates to a municipality, you know, even though it's earmarked for, you know, say they donated $300,000 to us for a splash pad, which we're not going to do that, but if that were the case, and the city all of a sudden says, oh, we need $300,000 to pave Voyagers Trail, there's nothing saying we can't do that. Now, granted, it'll never get a donation again from a nonprofit by doing that. So there's a lot of rules with the gambling in Minnesota. This does not affect our current gambling that charges the 10% that goes to the Civic Association by ordinance. This would just be setting up a separate fund. that the city's willing to say, yeah, we'll definitely accept your donations and work on some larger scale projects with the nonprofit. So. And with that, I will make a motion that we, establish, at the recommendation of the, Mr. Kelly from Walker, Drew and Hani, with the attachment in there, there's, setting up whether we can set up a special account or a completely separate, just a line item in the general fund. Yep. So we have a motion and a second to approve an established dedicated fund for donations. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11I, discussion of public works garage cleanup and creation of a compost pile on city property. This was brought up last month. We've got a lot of dead space, we'll call it, at the south part of Public Works. And it would make sense to get that area cleaned up. There's a bunch of scrap down there. It does sound like Public Works Department has already contacted a couple of different Homes Recycling and a few other places to try to get rid of some of that material. It doesn't sound like, it sounds like they charge you for the galvanized stuff, and anything that we've got concrete attached to is still being charged, but we've got some other stuff that might offset a cost with just getting rid of that scrap. And then we would be able to make a spot for, leaves, grass, just for citizens to dump compost, and hopefully it doesn't get abused and we can keep it up and running. So.
So I talked to Lauren a little bit about this today, because all of the weeds that we've been pulling, Public Works has been taking and dumping them down there. But he was under the impression that we would have to have like cement barriers to contain the compost.
It would just keep it like the cement barricades to, keep
Oh,
it separate.
so like the ones that we have already to block? Or he was, okay, I was under the impression that we would have to have like poured
It's just
cement
as council discussion.
barriers.
Yep.
So, because that's what I was thinking, we could probably get donations of railroad ties or something like that.
Probably could,
Instead
yeah.
of pouring cement, but, okay, thank you for the clarification on
Well, and
that.
generally you wouldn't pour cement, you just use the movable barricades.
Yeah,
So, anybody else have any discussion on this item?
Yeah, the question keeps entering my head. How are we gonna stop people from dumping stuff they shouldn't be dumping, like they did with the burn pile? I mean, that, somebody could have gotten really hurt had they set fire to that burn pile. And my question is, how are we gonna stop them?
Well, and this won't be a burn pile, this is just a
No, but-
compost.
but They still,
Oh, yeah.
some people take advantage and, when nobody's looking, they dump their stuff that they're not supposed to.
I guess then it would be, if that does happen, then it would be shut down again.
Yep.
And I know like for the blocks, Seppi's makes them over in Virginia, and they're not that expensive. I know you guys are talking about the Jersey barriers, but they actually make the blocks that you can actually stack, so you can put, 3 down on the bottom and stack them higher, so at least you can have a little bit more room to move it and actually turn it. So I think if nothing else, we should get a price of those and check on that. So,
Yeah,
but
that's-
like I said, if need be, like I said, if they start abusing it again, then it would just be shut down and go back to the dump and Aurora.
That's,
You can buy them cell phone game cameras that, it catches everything and it's pretty good video quality, so that is another option.
yeah, definitely. I think the concrete barricades would be a good, Administrator Wycombe, can we put that to the to-do list to give Seppi a shout and see how much those are gonna cost, and have Public Works do some measurements? And like I said, it's just a discussion. I didn't wanna, we weren't gonna go through all the research if the council said, no, absolutely not, we're not doing that, so. Oh. Is there any other discussion? No. Okay, moving on. Item 11J, council discussion of possible repairs to Robert G. Woods Drive. And if anybody has not seen it, if you want to look at the screen real quick, I will show you what we're dealing with. And we've got some citizens from up there, myself included. Everybody wants to. I like having a road that nobody drives down, but it's a gravel road. It's been washed out multiple times. We've contracted Mr. Schuring to grade it, but there's just no material left to grade. Let's see, some of these aren't it's a pretty significant part of the road. It started to deteriorate even the blacktop now. So, you know, installation of a catch basin and actually putting the water into the ditch where it belongs, because it's on both sides of the road. This side not so significant, but these folks just they completely redid that home and put in new gravel for the driveway, and now that's going to start washing away as well. So, and we've got a house delivery coming in a couple weeks, and as of right now, there's no way you can bring a house down that road. So. Well, in that case, no. So, and the other part of the discussion has been is in the past we have always contracted out to get it graded. There's nothing left to grade. All of the material is in the ditch.
Mr. Mayor and Council, part of it too is the issue that comes into play right now. I'm not an expert by any means, but with how the tar is, the issue isn't just with regular rain, but we keep having large amounts of rainfall year after year. So when we're getting those large increases, all of that water coming down Robert G. Woods hits that dirt, and it just creates that washout. At the moment, it's down to single lane. So, I mean, yes, I have concern because I want my house at some point in a couple weeks. To be clear, I don't think any residents on that road are asking it to be tarred. I don't want a tarred road at all. I don't think any of us do, but we do need a road that functions properly at some point, ideally. I don't know if the city has the ability to as well. Right now with how it is, that corner's, for lack of better words, unsafe. Not knowing if the city within the right of way can maybe clean the brush up, just so that way you can see lights. You can tell if a car's coming around the corner, just because it is down to single lane right at the intersection on the corner there. Just making those requests.
And just to be clear, I'm not just trying to get the road fixed because it's mine, because I'm perfectly happy with nobody driving down there. Yeah.
So what would it take, because once the ditch is a catch basin, what would it take to do that?
I think what we need a catch basin to divert the water.
Right,
And
but what would it take to get one in there?
I don't know, I think Benji had already said that they might even have one that would work, that Public Works should even install. We could get some gravel delivered and actually cap the road properly and then have Steve come and grade it.
Okay,
And-
so our Public Works would do the work then?
I think so.
Okay, just checking.
This is definitely the worst it's been in the 3 years I've lived there, so almost 4 years, so.
And even going like off Steve's, or even like a catch basin, or like Steve's point, I mean, you could get even some hot mix and make a blacktop flume into that ditch. And then, like I said, you could add probably at least a foot of material on that road, because I drove down it and all it is a big dish. So at least then the water would at least go off to the sides, because that's the biggest thing, is it just runs right down the grass edge. it doesn't have nowhere to go.
Well, if
So-
anyone feels out there, I mean, the rest of the road is perfectly fine. You know, there's not a road issue. It's just where that source of water comes and gets the dirt, it's just wrong.
But like I said, I think like, you know, between a catch basin or even just make a blacktop flume at the end so it gets into the ditch. And then you could, like I said, and then you gotta add more material onto the road, so at least you have a crown so that it would get past the grass edge, is the biggest thing.
And on this side of the road, there was that blacktop flume that used to travel probably to the other edge of it, but over the years, it's kind of gone away. Most of the blacktop is probably down on that side of the ditch. So, but there used to be, and it used to go to the end of that driveway, as you can see, it started here, and it's just kind of, it's eroded over the years, and that definitely did work then for a long time, because
Yeah, I mean, it would be, I mean, it's a fairly reasonable fix. But like I said, I mean, if you look at where the washouts are, it goes right down the edge of the road. It doesn't get off into the ditch where it's supposed to be. It runs right down the road.
right.
But I mean, that's even like the Depot Road, all that, I mean, those all need material, and they're all rough, and they're all dished. I mean, they're not, you don't have the proper crown on them.
Right.
But I mean, if Public Works can put a catch basin in or make a cement or blacktop flume, at least to get it into the ditch, that, I mean, that's gonna help a lot.
Is that something we can have the administrator direct Public Works to take care of this? And like you said, you just call and get some gravel delivered and coordinate it with,
But then another thing I will point out too is that the ATV trail is on that same side of the road, and you're gonna need a bigger pipe in that ATV trail. I mean, with that much water, with the rains that we've had, it can't handle that amount of rain runoff. So then that just adds, puts it right back on the road again. So, I mean, it's another thought that it should have a bigger pipe and get it so that it'll actually stay in the ditch.
I don't know if I have a picture of that spot or not. I don't think I do.
But like there, you can see that the water comes right down next to the grass line. It doesn't go into the ditch where it's supposed to.
And like I said, I just want to make sure that these guys can get their house delivered in a timely fashion and a safe fashion, so.
In the meantime, we have the capacity to trick some of those on that one corner, about that new irrigation spot. So we can see cars coming.
Because it is a big, I'm not trying to be
Right.
that much.
Well, trust me, when you're riding a motorcycle up this and making that corner in this dicey gravel, and you're wondering if somebody's coming down the other way, yeah, so. But yeah, I think if it's within the right of way, I don't think it'd be a problem. We can have Public Works trim that as well,
I would agree.
so. But,
So I would say go ahead and cut the trees, and then, I mean, are we gonna do anything with this? I mean, now, or, I mean,
we've got it, we've got, like I
So
said,
are
we've
we
got to do
gonna-
something to get a house delivered down there.
so my next question is are we gonna hire Steve to come and grade this once we get gravel, or what are we gonna do with that?
I think that's what we've done in the past. He's been the only one I've seen ever down there with a grader, so.
Every day we come, we've done that.
The great ones there, you know, and that's material. Maybe spend a little more time and actually shape the ditch a little bit so that everything does go off the road right away. The downside when you do that, when you're over that call, and everybody calls, you know, what do you think of that? And all first call. So it's like, you gotta decide if you want to ditch, make the excavator make it look good, or.
Well, half the people that live on that road are here, so I don't think you're gonna have any complaints.
Nobody cares what it looks like as long as it's a functional tool.
Right.
So I would go off Steve's, and if nothing else, if we can at least maybe have Steve come and get it, fix it with his grader. Even if you pull the shoulders, get the grass in the road, and then we can get gravel and put it over top of it, at least then you've got a good road. So, because then you're gonna cover the clumps and everything, and then you got a good base. So I would say, Steve, if you could come with your grader, at least fill the washout, get it tuned up so at least he can get his house in. Pull your shoulders, get it so that it's right, and then we can haul some gravel in after the fact.
So, if you want me to do that,
only manhole's right in front of my driveway, and then there's one farther down, but I don't know if are we going farther down with it? I don't know how the rest of the road looked even. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it wouldn't hurt to do a locate on it.
Correct.
Yep.
Because if you do cut the shoulders, at least then you know where everything is.
Can you make a note of that, Jim, to do a locate on that? Thank you. Okay. Yes. Right. 2-year time frame. Got it.
And if you wanted, I could call it a locate.
Oh.
That's all the middleman. Yeah.
You're the middleman.
I give away a few, so it's, you know.
Right. Perfect. Well, excellent. So. I think it's always been with under the limit for the administrator, if I remember right.
We've been always under.
I would submit a quote for fixing it and then hauling in some material and then also to go along with it.
So I can give you like a price per yard hauling material and then kind of give you a ballpark. I can give you any classified.
It's easy. It's a permanent.
Yeah. So you got a hill and a curve, and then of course you're transitioning from blacktop to gravel, so you're catching all that, as soon as all that force comes in the water down the hill. I mean, so.
So I mean, if nothing else, could we maybe, Steve, do you have any access to millings by chance? Could we, add, even like say 50, 75 feet of millings off the end of the blacktop, so at least then it would pack in a little bit more? And then we could just put class 5 then the rest of the way? That might be an option also.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I always refer to you on this stuff, because you know way more than I do.
Well, that's the next thing too. Tax them.
We're not paving it.
Maybe just, Dave, give me an idea how many feet you want to go or something, so that I can take it off of that. Without you going like-
I would just say, just off the blacktop, just so at least the water could at least get into the ditch.
I mean, as far as grading and the class 5,
Oh,
T-down a lot, or not like that, or?
I mean, the whole road needs it.
The whole road needs it, so.
I would say all the way to the cul-de-sac. But that's just my thought, but
Yeah.
I don't know what everybody else thinks of it, but I would say let's get a
Well,
price.
We're starting to get, if you look down the other direction here, there is starting to get some washing, like where my truck is parked there, you're starting to get some washing down the other way too, so if we don't, might as well just do the whole thing as long as we're doing, otherwise we'll be doing it all over again and again, so. Okay. Moving on to item 11K, designate the Personnel Committee to serve as the negotiating committee.
Support.
It has been moved and seconded to designate the Personnel Committee as the negotiating committee for the upcoming 49ers contract. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 12, external communications, there is none. And item 13, open public forum. Oh, boy. Gonna change hats, huh?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Knowing I have is brought up this evening about Bradley Island. You saw us out on Bradley Island, I think, on Friday, I believe we're out there. So it has been an issue with some of the camping issues. While we're digging into the enforcement actions or the processes, we ran into a few problems. So it shows on, if you look at St. Louis County Land Explorer, it shows City of Biwabik owns it. However, it actually shows 3 owners. It shows City of Biwabik as an owner, St. Louis County Land and Minerals as an owner, and unfortunately, a private entity called the Ordine Foundation owns the property. It was done in 1959 is when this was all done, so there's not a whole lot of records to look at. I'll be making a trip down to Duluth sometime this week to meet with the Ordine Foundation along with St. Louis County Land and Minerals. The issue is it was never parceled off, so they know that there's 3 owners, but it was never put in a parcel, so it's just one full parcel. So the question is it public land or is it private land? I could make the argument for us from an enforcement standpoint, if we put no trespassing signs on it because it's private, it would make our enforcement process very easy because it's private property. With some of the overnight camping and stuff, we have the 14-day law that falls under DNR state property lands, but because it's within the city limits, the DNR does not deal with anything like this. So we can deal with it. I figure there's 2 boatloads. We were out there Friday. There's 2 boatloads of garbage out there, I would say. So I'll probably be bringing the city crew out there to clean it up over the next couple of weeks. Ironically, though, because it says the Ordine Foundation owns it, ironically don't pay any property tax. So I think the argument there is you haven't paid property tax since 1959. I don't know that they own it, and I don't think they even know that they own it. So I'll be meeting with them and their attorney. I believe it's Thursday or Friday, so I'll have some more answers on it. But I just want to give you an update about the Bradley Island. We believe the city of Biwabik owns it, but with this Ordine Foundation, St. Louis County wants nothing to do with it. They have no problems, but it was supposed to be platted in 3 different plats, but nobody knows which plats are supposed to be which plat because it was never designated, so. Okay, okay. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about them, so, but, yeah, there's been no mailings or anything like that to them. St. Louis County Land has never mailed as far as they know, since 2001, any type of land tax or anything like that. It's valued at $71,000, so there is a value to it, so, I could always go after them for back taxes maybe for the last 70 years, so. But I just want to let the council know, because I know there's been people talking about with the parking and then also with the camping, so we are working on not just.
I've gotten a lot of comments from people on Embarrass Lake as well now.
Yeah, the Embarrass Lake
Association
has made it very, ironically, one of the campsites out there actually involves 3 of the residents in that actually camp out that the kids do. So that campsite is also kind of a mess that we're going to clean up. That was the one that we had the reported body on that was wrapped up in a sleeping bag. It was just wrapped up and wet. So that's why we initially got the call there last week. So if you have any questions, but yeah, I'll try to have an answer for you by September, but I haven't forgotten about it. We're just now things kind of got a little bit confusing. So we'll try to have some answers. Thank you.
Thanks, Ty. Is there any other comments from the public? Mr. Setniger.
Pardon? Yeah. Just a quick question about the entrance that's been or we had a study or a design from SEH as to repairing the entrance to the city hall with all the rotting out, the iron posts are just deteriorating and so forth. Apparently, we've had SEH did a study. What's the action moving forward on this, and has there been money budgeted for this?
SEH did a building assessment study and pinned that as one of the failing spots, but there hasn't been a actual design or anything like that, because we discussed it last year, and if anybody remembers, the $24,000 to fix the concrete turned into, well, you're doing work and it needs to be ADA accessible, so that means a $20,000 new door and other things. So that project just ridiculously climbed from a $25,000 concrete job to a roughly $75,000 fix, which we didn't have. Unfortunately, we had money that could have been used to use that as a match through IRRR, but that was used to backfill the 2025 budget to lower the levy.
So by not doing it, actually becomes an obstacle for the incubator spaces that we're trying to market and so forth. So we're kind of waiting for design and for money, right?
Correct. And hopefully with our age-friendly community designation now that we're looking to get, there's hope that there's going to be some money for that. And then there's also some other ADA money that we could possibly apply for to get towards the IRRR Public Works Grant, which, and SCH did just give me a proposal about what it would cost to, because the HVAC in this building is shot as well. So hard to do an incubator space and say, oh yeah, by the way, you have no AC. It's just going to be hot all the time. So that is, it's in the works. It's just a matter of finding the funding. So, is there any other, Mr. Sublai?
I think it's, should be brought up from the council that that sidewalk be fixed over by that coffee shop that's supposed to be there when they run over the sidewalk. This is the third summer now, I think. I think that should be fixed. The other thing is, if you walk across the street by the Brown Jug, yeah, they put a new sidewalk in, but they left a gap in there that's probably 4, 5, 6 inches in there. If somebody steps in there, the city would be liable. That's off the sidewalk. And then the other thing I'll bring up is that circle that's on 2nd Avenue South. I told you it was popping out like a cork. Now it's starting to break the tar. Just bringing it up.
I know that sidewalk has been part of the ongoing discussion about this disaster of Main Street that MnDOT has left us with, so. Is there any other? Can you please go to the, can you go to the podium, please? Hit the green or the square button there on the bottom.
All right.
Thank you.
I understand Robert's rules, most of them, and the way the city council is run, I've come to many meetings, and I understand that. Well, we know that when we elect city council people, if we as citizens have a problem, we send them an email or we see them on the street and we say, you know, this is a problem, that's a problem, and when the councilors each get a turn to speak, they bring it up. And then I don't see anything happening. Like an example, at the last meeting, Danny brought up that he went for a walk and he saw 10 cars parked in the wrong direction. Now, I know that's a police thing. I know it's, you know, I understand that. But that's just an example of when you bring something up, then it goes on to the next matter that you're going to deal with. Now, what happened to what Danny said? And what happened when Kathy brings up something? It just ends. What's the next step to when you bring up something that your citizens are upset about?
I can speak for myself.
Okay.
When I've gotten something, I ask the person permission, especially if it has to go to a personnel committee, because I'm on it, because I can't talk about it. And then I make copies and make sure the personnel committee gets it. The email you sent me today, that's already been delivered to the cemetery board.
Good.
So I don't usually bring it up because I took care of it. And then when we have our meeting, you know, I said to Shannon today, I said a lot of what you had written was we've talked about, but it'll be brought up again because it'll be a budget issue.
Yeah, and that's something that I know you will take care of, but some simple little things, like John Plesha has brought up many things, and sometimes they're not treated too respectfully. He'll say, there's a pothole on 4th Avenue or something, and okay, moving right along, well, what happens? I don't know the next step.
In the case of like something like a pothole or a lot of times like just a work order gets put in and is directed to Public Works to fix it. And then that's you know, that's how it's supposed to work. I'm not saying it has in the past. I'm gonna probably say moving forward from, you know, last month on, it's gonna be better. But, I know certain things like when we brought up, the compost pile. That was brought up, by Counselor Lehman, and, you know, we brought it on for discussion, and now we'll bring it in for
Right.
action.
Yep.
So,
I
that's
get
the
that.
process.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Danny, how do you feel about when you brought up that problem about cars parking the wrong way? Okay. It sure has. I understand that, yes. Sure. 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 Okay. Great. Okay. Yep. Okay, yep. But I understand that, but when Danny brought it up, nothing was said. So to Joe Public, yeah, but Joe Public doesn't know that.
Okay. He's well aware of what.
Yes.
So, you're right, the public is,
Mhm.
but it was well aware that officers,
Yep, I know,
So-
and he said that too, when you brought it up, you said that,
Yep.
so. But just, I think the public needs to know that their concerns are being followed up. That's my point.
So Mrs. Oplin that was here at the last meeting that discussed their sidewalk, it didn't have to come back to the council agenda because it's fixed and taken care of.
Yeah.
And to bring it up to just, you know, to bring it up as an agenda item, and we'd be here till 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
So there are certain things that they just get taken care of.
Yeah, it
And-
doesn't seem like it when you watch it or come to a meeting.
Oh, I understand what
Like
you're saying.
your concerns are being, oh, well, let's move on to the next. But
Right.
okay, thank you for the explanation.
Sorry, when I get an email, do you want me to bring it up at the council meeting under my agenda that, you know, I
Well,
got
if you
this
s-
and it's taken care of? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, so that then the public knows, or, I mean, I'll do whatever you want, I just need to know.
I think the concerns that we've had about the cemetery aren't just ours. So
Right.
if they're brought up and saying, don't worry, citizens, the cemetery, they're working on things and things will get better.
Okay, and
Just
like,
public
right.
knowledge we need.
and we'll do that like at the budget, it'll come up
Okay.
about what we're doing.
Sure.
You know, we can afford to do at the cemetery.
Okay.
Some of your suggestions coincided with the committee meeting.
Okay.
The way-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good question. Is there any other thing to come before the council? Okay, hearing none. Everybody's favorite motion. Moved and second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Motion approved. Meeting's adjourned at 17:49.